Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for The Fate of the Furious. So the 8th installment in the Fast and Furious franchise, a franchise that started out as a Point Break ripoff, has now become a film about terrorism and the destruction of multiple cars in New York City. This film follows Dom, who is the type of person that is always preaching about family, how he feels that the people around him and his friends are family, and this all feels very strange when he suddenly abandons all of his principles, and suddenly attacks The Rock while they're driving separately from everyone else. And then you start to discover that it's because Charlize Theron has something towards him that he does not want to happen, so he has to work for her during the time being. And while this is happening, it's about how that team copes with it, how they deal with a lot of things, and things like that. I was not particularly excited to see this movie. I have seen 3 other Fast and Furious films. I have seen The Fast and the Furious, the very first one, which I think is an okay movie. It's fine. I hardly even remember it. Then I saw Fast and Furious 6, which I found similar to the first one. It's fine. It's disposable. It's fun. It's just not memorable at all. And my favorite of the series is Furious 7. This one is honestly not anything exceptional, but I had the most fun with this one. Maybe because it's the atmosphere that I saw it in, the people who I saw it with, but I just had a really fun time with that one. And now we have The Fate of the Furious, so I went in expecting probably some dumb fun. I didn't think it would be any better than Furious 7, and I got pretty much that. The Fate of the Furious is just a fine, disposable, fun time. It's pretty much exactly what you expect. And at this point, do you expect anything else from the Fast and Furious franchise other than the objectification of women, really fast cars, lots of insane action sequences, and some really great chemistry among the cast? I mean, if you're expecting anything else than that at this point, I don't really understand why, because this franchise is primarily fun. That is exactly what it goes for. Now, at times, a lot of the other technical aspects can feel weak, yet at the same time, it's sort of like, okay, those are weak, it doesn't really matter. Now, an issue that The Fate of the Furious has is that it does deal with a lot of issues that are a bit worse than I would have liked. One example of this is the dialogue. The dialogue in this film is absolutely awful. One of the biggest issues is that there is not enough banter among the cast, because part of the thing that makes this entire franchise so fun is the banter among the cast, how they'll talk back and forth with each other and they have great chemistry. And I remember a lot of the chemistry in Furious 7 and even Fast and Furious 6. A lot of the scenes in this film I will not remember as far as chemistry and banter. Absolutely, I will remember The Rock and Jason Statham, because them together, they were incredible. They were so much fun to watch. They would talk with each other. The charisma was just brimming off of each of them. They were absolutely fantastic, and I loved them in this film. The others, though, sort of felt weak when it came to banter and even acting. Of course, Vin Diesel, he always does it. I honestly don't think that he has ever said a single line different than the way that he says it. He just talks so monotonely, never really shows any emotion. The most he'll show emotion-wise is yelling, and it's still, you can tell that it's the same voice. However, the worst performance in this film absolutely is Michelle Rodriguez. She has been okay in the other movies, but in this one, I don't know what happened. She was absolutely awful. She's trying to be sad all the time because her husband just suddenly betrayed everything, and she isn't very good. She's very weak. She does not do a very good job at the dramatic side of things. She was honestly probably the worst performance I've ever seen in a Fast and Furious movie. The other people were not good. A lot of them were just there either to look hot or look tough. But besides that, if it wasn't for The Rock and Statham, this film I think would be down like 1.5 points, but I can't stress enough that them two on screen was so much fun. Honestly, if the next Fast and the Furious movie, the next 2, because I believe they're making 2 more to make it a 10-film franchise, if the next 2 films just revolve around Statham and The Rock and just them like doing crazy stuff, I will love it, because those two together are just absolutely perfect. If they do a comedy together, I would love that. I want to see these two together. They seem like they're friends in real life, and they dealt with the issue, the fact that these two are supposed to be enemies, and that they slowly start to become friends. And the way that they do it sort of felt odd, but because of their chemistry, it felt a little better. And something else I admired about this movie is that there was actually quite a few funny moments. Now, I did say that the film as overall was fun, but even a film can be really, really fun, yet not be funny. And thankfully, the Fast and the Furious, or Fate of the Furious, embraces the fact that a lot of the humor is not very good. Though a lot of the humor is supposed to be really cheesy and really stupid, they embrace that and make some comedy that actually made me laugh at points. I appreciated that, because you have films like Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage, and other action films like that have it so that the comedy is so cringeworthy and awful that it just takes you out of the movie. It didn't here, though they clearly did stop to tell a joke, and they sort of, had no one talking afterwards because they were expecting you to laugh. At the same time, the jokes were funny enough so that it didn't feel awkward and it didn't feel weird. Now look, The Fate of the Furious, if you liked the other few installments in the franchise, you will enjoy this film. Is it messy? Yes. Is it incoherent? Yes. It has a lot of issues when it comes to that. But at this point, what else do you expect from these type of movies? They are primarily meant to be just dumb, fun action. That's it. That's all these are. So honestly, what else are you expecting from something like this? It's if you go in expecting what the other films were, just dumb, fun, that's exactly what you'll get going out of it. It is sort of a step down from Furious 7, and even a bit of a step down from the Fast and Furious 6. Yet at the same time, it's hard to really be angered by this film. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It does, at times, feel a bit dull and forgettable. Like, there's a lot of sequences. The action sequences, they're fun in the moment, but they're not very memorable, and there's a lot of dull scenes. There's a lot of scenes where they're just trying to track down Dom, and those scenes go on not only for far too long, but they're also just terribly written, and they feel very dull. And this film did have an overwhelming amount of scenes that are dull. However, the emotional scenes actually were a bit strong in this movie. Of course, they ruined it with stock music that they got off of iTunes. But besides that, the dramatic scenes, they were actually not the worst thing ever. Because in action movies, you sort of expect really dramatic scenes that are awfully done. Yet you didn't get it in this one. And that sort of helped with everything going on. The Fate of the Furious, the reason that this franchise is more fun than like Transformers or Triple X, those franchises, is because it has enough good banter, enough strong performances, and enough emotional beats to make you interested. And thankfully, The Fate of the Furious delivers on most of those. It does have weak moments, but honestly, I found myself enjoyed, and that's all I really need in this movie. I'm not going to get it a 6 out of 10 or above because it did have those dull moments, but in the end, I will give The Fate of the Furious a 5.25 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for The Fate of the Furious. What are your thoughts on this film and the other films in the Fast and Furious franchise? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I am Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.